Y'all, my name is Chris Creed. Welcome to the Wake Up, Get Better podcast. You're listening to your morning activation. Let's go. Hey, what's up, y'all? So it is currently 1:42 p.m. So I can hardly call this a morning activation, but I am going to keep it in line here. Maybe you can listen to it, at some other time during the morning. But the reason why it's not a morning activation is because this morning got swept up into other things. We had to take the car into the shop. We had some other things come up that we just had to deal with this morning. And there's a lesson in that. There's a couple lessons in that. The first one is that sometimes it's better to go ahead and do the things that are due for tomorrow today so that you don't have to do them tomorrow, right? That's thing number one. I want to keep these things fresh. So I'm good, and I have been doing them in the morning, but I'm good with that being a rhythm. It's not a problem. However, it does leave the door open for something to fill up the space, right? And that's kind of a picture of creative life. I saw a post today from a guy, and he was like, there's two photographers. And he said one photographer, they both have the same style, same editing style. They're both equally as good, but one makes twice as more as the other one. Why? And how, basically, was his question. And my response was one that I've given several times, but it's if you're in business as a creative, your work is not just what you do, right? That's only a piece of it. That's only like a quarter of the work that you have to do as a creative. If you're in business, the quarter of the work is your work that you do and deliver. Then the second quarter of your work is lead generation and the ability to close sales, right? That's important. And that was my generic answer to him, was like, hey, the person who's making more money is more good at getting leads and sales. That's it. But there also could be a secondary problem. And that could be that they're not taking care of the other half of their work, which is what I call creativity management and care. When you leave that part off the table and just go out and create until you're burned out, and then you just focus on leads and sales and leads and sales and leads and sales, and your business grows, you will become burned out. And I know that it doesn't make sense in the beginning. Like you think, oh, I just need to focus on sales and leads, and you do, but you cannot forget the half of your work that is maintaining and cultivating creativity. And you have to have a plan for that going in, because it will burn you out fast, right? And I've always said that if everything else in my business is good, now when I was a photographer, but even in marketing or coaching, it's like, if everything else in my business is good, but I start to lose my edge creatively, I'm not going to continue to get clients, because that is the actual thing that they're paying for, right? That's the actual thing that I need to be able to show up and do without question. And so we can't lose that. And this brings me back to this morning and things taking up space. If you allow it to, the quote unquote important parts of your business, the things that your mind and logically will tell you that you have to spend the most time on, those things will take over, and you'll begin the process of working inside your business, right? And you'll be the person who's doing all the leads generation. You'll be the person who's doing all the sales. You'll be the person who's doing all the creating and delivering and interacting with clients. And that becomes this churning wheel that's just going to continue to grow until you burn out. And if we don't intentionally have the space open for managing our creativity and taking care of ourselves creatively, it will get eaten up by the other stuff. And in the moment, that feels like, well, that's just the way it is, man. Just like this morning when we had to go deal with the car stuff, or we had to, do some other stuff. That feels like, oh, well, this just happened. But what the truth is that I didn't create the space to do the thing that I said I was going to do this morning, to actually show up and create like I wanted to. And because I didn't secure and protect that space, it got filled up with other stuff. And so my challenge to you and my activation to you today is to make sure that, especially if you're creative, that you make space to take care of yourself creatively. Whether that's, I'm intentionally going to go on 3 hikes this week because I get refueled by nature, or I'm going to consume book 1, book 2, book 3 over the course of the month so that my tank is full with these creative ideas. Or it could be on a daily basis that I'm going to limit my social media time, so I'm not taking in as much stuff so I can focus on my work and really let my brain work instead of stress and get anxious. Whatever it is, make sure that you actually like write it down. Like, this is how I intend to show up creatively this month or this week or today. And if you do that, don't let other things creep in and take the space, right? So that's if you are a creative, which if you listen to this show, you probably are a creative or an owner. Either way, those things hold true. The other thing I wanted to leave you with today that I thought about in the middle of this process of my morning, things that are important will get done. And you may say that, such and such is important, or it's important that I show up and I record this, or it's important that I make sure I fuel myself creatively, or it's important that I have quality time with my spouse or significant other, or quality time with my kid. If those things are important, if you say those things, it doesn't actually mean that it's important to you. You have to cue your brain to remember that it's important to you. And I know that might sound silly to think about that with your partner or your kid or your friends or whatever, but it's true. If you don't remind your brain and cue your brain like, oh, hey, this is important to me, your brain will fill up the tank on the other side. And then the things that are actually important to you that you keep saying are important to you will fall by the wayside. And that's what we want to avoid. So I hope that you can take my lesson this morning from being sucked down the fire put outer lane here to take forth and conquer, to change this pattern for yourself. And I keep coming back to patterns in these videos, but that really is what it is. It's like we get in these patterns of things that we're doing every day, and the things that we deem important each day just tend to fall by the wayside because we're not actually giving them their due. We're not actually telling our brain and the universe and our subconscious that this is actually important to us. And the way we do that is that we spend time on it. We actually prioritize it, right? And so whatever that is for you, I just wanted to challenge you today to make sure that you're prioritizing the things that you actually say are important to you, that you actually care about. Because otherwise, the space will get filled up and you'll be left empty for the things that you actually care about. Hey, if you're a creative and an owner and you want to experience more flow and focus in your life, go to chriscree.com/flow and you can join my free group there. In that group, every week I do a creative clearing session live in the group. And one of the reasons it's so important that, and the reason I'm excited about this process is that there's a lot of data inside of us that needs to be cleared out in order for us to create our best work. These creative clearing sessions allow you to do that in a rapid way so that inspiration can come through and you can create more work that you love. If that sounds good to you, just go to chriscree.com/flow and I'll see you in there. Love you guys.
Slow down. There's nothing to get you. Can always turn it around.